Welcome to the Greatest Story Podcast with your hosts,
Zac
and Josh. We're here to discuss and react to some of the greatest stories ever told. We're going to look at books, movies, video games, and all forms of storytelling to figure out what makes a good story and what are some of the greatest stories.
Fantastic. We did it. Josh, is there any story news coming up this week?
Yeah, so I'll try to keep this short and sweet, but if you remember way back at a couple episodes ago, we mentioned that War of the Rohirrim. It's almost a tongue twister, but it's not. I think it's about Helm Hammerhand and the Winter War?
Yeah, it's actually about his daughter, which is interesting.
She's the main protagonist.
Yeah.
Anyways, but we got our first look at a couple images from, I think, Entertainment Weekly. And that's a big deal because it's anime.
Yep.
And I'm not a huge anime guy, but it looked pretty sick.
Yeah, it looked really good. So we'll see. It's a new art form. There's not anime is not a new art form, but it's a new art form for Lord of the Rings. Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, I was real pleased with the artwork. It looked pretty interesting.
Any stories you're well pleased with as well?
Yeah, well, sticking with the Lord of the Rings idea, an old movie, not a new movie, but an old movie, The Fellowship of the Ring, I just saw with my wife in theaters, which was very exciting because I did not get to see the first release in theaters because I was a child. So very, very exciting to go back and experience that. Excellent story. Would recommend Lord of the Rings to anyone. Books and movies. Just really, really good. Music, sound effects. Oh, man. If you want to listen to our imagery bonus episode, Lord of the Rings has a lot of imagery, especially in Fellowship of the Ring. So.
You were saying that added surround sound really helped out a lot. So when Gandalf calls Pippin a fool of a took.
Oh, yeah.
Did you feel that in your heart?
I did feel it in my heart, especially because with the surround sound, you heard every single clang, knock down rock. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was rough. Drums in the deep.
Well, speaking of drums in the deep, as our fan base keeps growing, they're coming out of the pits of the ground.
We cannot get out. And we cannot get out of giving you call-outs either. So, here we go. We want to say thanks to Gabe and Ruby Joe for their comments on Patreon. So, thank you guys for interacting with Patreon. We've had some polls on there, and they've left some comments on our tier charts and on the polls themselves. Yeah. So, really exciting for everyone on Patreon. You can use that space to give us feedback, to comment and interact with us on some of these different posts and bonus episodes that we're leaving.
We'll have to see if the symmetry continues.
That's true.
I mean, I know the answer, but we'll find out.
But do you know the answer?
You will whenever I make the graphic.
We want to also thank Ruby Joe and Mozzarella Sticks for joining the Discord. So Discord is open to all of our Patreon members, and we would love for you to interact there and just come on out and have a great time as we discuss a whole bunch of different things on the Discord. And we want to thank our Pathfinder Commodore Peggy B, one of our paid Patreon members, and our Pathfinder champion, Paige S.
Y'all are champs.
There we go. Nailed it. I want that sticker. Okay. As a reminder, we are coming to the end.
This is the end.
Yeah, it's the final countdown, if you will. Okay. We only have 2 episodes left. One after this one. Yeah, one after this episode. So we are going to be finishing up with Season 1, which is super exciting. And so now is the time to jump in and join the paid tier of the Greatest Story Podcast on Patreon.com. Yeah. Because we have our own goals for podcast Season 2 coming soon that we want to talk about. And if you want to help us make more content like this, now is the time to join us and send us feedback.
Yeah. You could hop in Discord, hop on Patreon, let us know what you think. Do you want us to do reading guides and tell you guys what we're going to be reading and watching so you can follow along? Let us know. Do you want us to do more interactive stuff where we give like kind of questions for you to analyze your own stories after we review something? Let us know. Those are 2 that some of our Pathfinder, our Pathfinder Commodore let us know.
Some of our one Pathfinder Commodore.
Yikes. Anyways, we'll take them seriously and you can help us grow, right? This is just Zac and I, dudes being dudes, basically.
Yep.
So we could be more than that if you want.
That's right. We can be more than dudes. We can be men.
That's true. Anyways, you know who else should be a man?
Oof. Romeo.
Yeah.
Romeo, oh Romeo.
Where art thou?
A rose by any other name would smell like a Montague.
Yeah.
So,
Light coming through a window.
like coming through a window. We are talking about Romeo and Juliet. And this is going to be interesting. It is a classic. It is a classic. I mean, how...
Not even cult classic.
No, it's just a classic.
Straight out of 1600s.
Straight out of London. Straight out of London, yeah. Romeo and Juliet has so many adaptations. You can think of several. I feel like every romantic kind of not
forbidden love.
Less of the rom-coms, but all of the forbidden love kind of tropes.
I mean, like they all have to trace back to Romeo and Juliet somehow.
Yeah, and they do. So this is a very influential story. This is by William Shakespeare, the playwright, the legend.
Or is it?
I'm not getting into that right now.
Oh, there's a lot of historic.
There's a lot of rumors about Mr. Shakespeare and who is he? Is he even the right person?
Yeah. Anyways, that's not the point.
Anyway,
you can go find a conspiracy theory podcast if that floats your boat.
Yeah, definitely. Or we can do a conspiracy theory episode.
Those are great stories.
Yeah.
We'll just play the Black Ops campaigns.
So we're going to talk about the original Romeo and Juliet, not West Side Story. Not the Romeo and Juliet with Leonardo DiCaprio. Not...
I don't know. I wish I could help you.
Oh, okay.
I got nothing.
It's fine. Wow.
Grease?
Grease is similar, actually, but I don't think it's quite the same.
John Travolta land.
Yeah. Anyway, but we're going to talk about the original Romeo and Juliet. So, Josh, give us a little bit of an overview of the plot.
So you got two big families.
Yep.
And in my brain, I think of them like gangs. But you can infer what you want from that.
They're gangs.
You got Montagues and Capulets.
Yep.
Montagues have a son named Romeo.
Yep.
Capulets have a daughter. Her name's Juliet. Romeo starts out heartthrob status, down bad, as the kids say, not for Juliet, for a girl named Rosalina.
Yep.
He's got a buddy who's benevolent,
well, so interesting. Benvolio. But his name is Benevolent. Yeah.
Anyways, he helps them get over some stuff. They crash a party. Romeo sees Juliet. Their families hate each other.
Yep.
Sparks a hidden love interest. Ends in tragedy because this is a tragedy. They fake their deaths and then they turn into real deaths. Because they didn't communicate.
Yep.
And a lot of people got stabbed.
That's right. And so the moral of this story is communication is key.
The more you know.
The more you know. When you make your secret plans, make sure everybody knows.
Yeah, but that's the basic plot. Two families, rivals, forbidden love interest, conflict, death, families make peace, the end.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to get into some of that. What do you think about clear plot?
Oh, I mean, this is probably the strongest part. Like we were talking about it and writing down points. It's just a very clear rising and falling action.
Yeah.
Right? You open initial conflict as Romeo's heartsick, goes to a party, rising action. He meets Juliet, climax, and then going into falling action.
Yeah, there's the duel.
There is a duel. I was thinking like forbidden marriage, the secret marriage.
Oh, well, yeah, I guess the duel and the marriage happens at like the same time. Yeah. It's like the same day. It's a busy day, actually.
Yeah, falling action would be the plot to smuggle Juliet out.
Yeah.
And then, the end and return to normal, I guess, is death, and then the families make peace.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's linear. It does the whole mountain shape.
Yep.
You got anything to add?
It's kind of a inclusio a little bit. So
tell me what that means.
Oh, okay. So an inclusio is when you start with something and end with the same thing.
We start with statues and we end with statues.
I was going to say peace, but yeah.
Did we start with peace?
Well, you start with...
Because it opens with...
You start with the prince saying, you guys need to have peace.
Got it. Okay.
And then you end with the family saying, we have peace because of the statues.
Yeah.
So...
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's...
It's a chiasm.
Well,
No,
I
just threw that out
hesitate with
for you.
chiasm. I don't quite know if it's a chiasm.
I literally threw it out just for you.
Oh, okay. Well,
I don't
thanks.
actually think it is.
Okay. Good, because then I was going to have to try and argue for a chiasm, which anyone who knows me knows that I will argue for a chiasm. Yeah. Chiasm is the single-handed greatest literary device known to man. So,
But it does open with like the homeboys for both families like basically hurling insults at each other and being like, yo, if you want to throw down, let's do this. And then they draw swords and then the police show up.
Yep.
And by the police, I mean like the king of, was it Verona?
Yeah, Verona is the city. What's great is I love that opening duel because they're like working inside the law. And so the Montagues are like, hey, I hate those Capulets. We should start a fight. And the one guy's like, yeah, but if we start a fight, we'll get in trouble. We have to be defending ourselves. And so they walk by hurling insults.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey, are you calling insults at us? And then the guy's like, if you say yes, then we're breaking the law. And he's like, no, we're just hurling insults. Not directly at you.
What if the shoe
What
fits?
if the shoe fits? And then the fight starts, and then everybody else in the town grabs clubs and joins the fight. And they're like trying to break up the fight. And the prince is like, hey, please stop messing up
And
my
if you
town.
don't, we're going to kill both of the heads of family.
Yeah, so that does bring some tension to the story.
And I guess if to go back to your, what did you call it? It was
In
almost-
inclusio?
Yeah, the inclusio. It ends with the heirs to both families dying.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so clear plot, I guess, is good.
The sins of the fathers are visited
down
on
to
the
the
children.
son, yeah.
Wow, yeah. Very interesting.
Moving on to
Moving on. Yep. Sorry.
clear character art.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Less so. So plot is good. Plot is clear. Plot is followable. Character arcs, not so much. I don't really think that the characters grow practically at all.
So we actually just did a really sick bonus episode on imagery. So that's a shameless plug. It's actually one of my favorite things we've recorded, I think. I'm almost wondering after that, like my brain's working through images. I'm almost wondering if Romeo and Juliet are literally just imagery.
Yeah.
Like they're not full,
They're not real.
well-rounded.
Yeah.
They are holograms.
They were never there. They're just figments of your imagination.
Oh, that's very esoteric,
Mhm.
very Gnostic of us.
Very Ratatouille.
You don't think the rat was there?
No, the rat was there. The chef's not there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gusto.
Yeah.
I was like, you mean the redhead did not cook? This entire time was just the rat. Oh,
Changes
man.
everything.
That's all. Hang on, I need a second. I'm just.
Who is dating the French chick?
That's like I'm just. Yeah, I guess absurdism just crept its way into this podcast.
Or just slammed on the door and walked right in.
Anyone could cook. So let us cook. But yeah, the character arc's confusing, right? Romeo starts out madly in love for a lady who's vowing to stay chaste.
Yeah.
Immediately sees another girl and goes, I'm going to redirect it all to her.
Yep.
No growth.
No growth. Yeah. It just seems like he is so impulsive the whole time.
Yeah.
He's impulsive in his love, quote unquote. He's impulsive in his anger. He's impulsive in his duels.
Which?
He's impulsive in killing himself later.
Yeah, he didn't even slow down.
No,
He's just
no.
like, oh, there she is.
Yeah.
Dead as a doornail.
Yeah. Everybody's like,
Doorknob.
no, doornail is right, I think.
Doorknob.
Dead
Dead
as
as a
a
doorknob.
door. Why is a doorknob dead?
I don't know. Why is a doornail dead?
I think because a doornail, it's like hammered in, right? So you can't undo
it's like
it.
a coffin.
Yeah. Editing Zac here. The phrase is dead as a doornail, and it comes from William Shakespeare, of all people, and it was used to reference the history of carpentry, when nails often outlived the projects they were used for, but whenever a nail was put into a door, it was the last project that nail would ever be. Therefore, dead as a doornail is final. It's an idiom, if you will.
All right, we might have to have
I'm gonna have to look
foolish
that up.
baboon or a
Yeah,
foolish
yeah,
gorilla next
yeah.
episode,
Yeah.
which will be the last one for the season. But he just walks in and
You're
goes, there
feeling
she
very
is.
confident about episode 15, huh?
Just Just like Romeo was confident Juliet's dead.
Yeah, my goodness.
But, like, I mean, you didn't want to, like, see if she was breathing. Didn't want to poke her a little.
Didn't want to, like, ask any questions whatsoever. He's just like, I'd like to buy some poison.
And then the guy's like, bro, that's, like, mad illegal.
He's like, take this bag of money.
He's like, your poverty made you do this. Like, that's my favorite part. It's like, it's not wrong if you use this to buy bread, homie.
It's not wrong if you're poor.
And the guy's like, God stands as my witness. I didn't do this because I wanted to. I did this because I'm poor. And you're like,
that's going to be my excuse for everything now. I'm sorry. I need this car. I'm poor.
Walk in at Kroger, grab some pastries. Excuse me, sir. I read once and William Shakespeare thought I didn't need to pay because I'm poor. But I just, like, it's absurd. Like, Romeo's like, I don't care you don't want to do this.
Yeah.
I don't care you think it's wrong. I don't care your whole apothecary can be shut down.
Yep.
Sell me the death sticks.
Yeah. You don't want to buy some death sticks.
I'm going to go home and rethink your life, Romeo.
Yeah, Romeo needs to rethink his life. Juliet, I think, is the same also. I think she's also very impulsive.
Almost more bland.
Yeah. Yeah, like she is just passion.
She's
like,
just there, kind of.
Yeah, I think so. She's a very passive character, with the exception of coming up with this plan to trick everybody, because it is her plan along with the friar.
That's true.
Romeo's not in on the plan, which is kind of the whole problem.
She also has a lot of monologues with the nurse.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially before she enacts the plan.
Yep, that's true. Yeah.
But, I mean, she's more of a prize, really, than a character. Well, that's not fair.
No, that's not quite true.
It's like 50-50.
Yeah. So, but the point remains that I don't think that she grows at all. I don't think her character arc is positive or negative. And I think that's part of what's so frustrating is she's just passion. She's just impulse. Yeah. I think that's about it. I also think that the friar is an important character because he's there a lot. And he's like the one who marries the couple. He's the one who helps come up with this plan.
Does he... I mean, because he's a friar, right?
Yeah.
So he's a priest.
Yeah.
Do you think it's intentional? Is he representing God?
I hope not, because he does it badly.
Well, I mean...
Because his whole point at the end is like, I don't even think he references God at the end. He just says there's a supernatural force
at work
that will judge all of you for your lack of peace.
Which spiritualism.
Peace out. And I'm like, okay, well, I thought you were supposed to be a priest, bro.
Well, I think that might be part... And you actually did some research into peer reviews in like the 1500s.
That's true. I have some for later on.
I bet that's like a commentary because would be is it before the Reformation?
It'd be around the time.
82?
It'd be around the time.
And so I almost wonder if it's a commentary on like the bar for priesthood was pretty low.
Pretty low. That's true.
Can you read? Was basically the bar.
Yeah.
But
which is too high for a certain servant at the beginning of this book.
That's true. Can you really read?
Are you sure?
Anyway.
But if you can really read, then you should read this.
But I mean, the friar does, yeah. I totally read. Give it here. Unless you're a Montague.
Yeah.
Ew, Montague.
Montague.
Gross. The friar, I mean, he does
No Capulet.
No cap. Is that the title of this episode?
Montagues and no cap.
Montague, no cap. Oh, that's so
bad. I'm putting it.
I mean, yeah, we got to now.
Yep.
But I mean, he does apologize, the friar.
He does. He confesses the whole plan.
He even says, throw him in jail.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. And they do walk it back and they have proof. And like, oh, here's the letter that Romeo never got.
Yep.
Proves the friar's innocent-ish.
Wait. Innocent technically.
Ish.
Yeah. Big-ish. Big-ish. Speaking of big-ishes, what about clear ethical lesson?
It's a big-ish.
It's a big-ish.
In the sense of I guess the only way you can pull a positive good is if you take the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet as an example of what not to do.
Yeah. We were thinking a lot about passion, right? There's a lot of love, there's a lot of hate, but don't, like those things on their own are not bad, but don't let that control you because then you make some really bad decisions.
Yeah, which societally, right, humans have said that anger and love are close relatives. Kissing cousins, if you would, just like Paris and Juliet. No, they're not.
No, they're not. No.
We established that. But you see, like, the passion of the parents and the passion of the family feud, right, is a net negative.
Yeah.
And then you also kind of see the passion and love of Romeo and Juliet, I guess, is best net neutral. It's really their death that causes change.
Yeah.
Their love is actually kind of negative. It causes strife.
Yeah.
Like them following their passions blindly in reckless abandon and leaving everybody else behind.
Yeah.
Right? Causes secrets that they can't get out of. And the secrets lead to their own demise.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's one of those stories, right? It is a tragedy, so if you're familiar with those terms, tragedy and comedy, one is a comedy is something that starts out rough and ends more happy, and a tragedy is something that starts out more better and ends worse. And and that's kind of what this story is. It's interesting because there is peace at the end, but everybody's dead. So it's like it's kind of it's very mixed.
And on all levels.
Yeah.
Right? Like the king of the city, his son's dead.
Yep.
The Capulet's daughter's dead.
Yep. Montague's son is dead. Yep.
So all
a whole bunch of their servants dead.
Yeah. I don't know. Does it get to double digits? Or is it just I think it's still one hand.
Does anybody die in the original battle at the beginning?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. So it's just like 5 total. So, but still,
it felt like they just started to fight, and that's when everybody showed up.
Yeah.
But anyways, people do die.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah.
One death is too many.
Yep. So again, I think it's very negative, right? Like secrecy, trickery, using that to accomplish your goals, not really good.
The dialogue of the priest being the one to help concoct the plan.
Yeah.
And the nurse.
The two
most trustworthy people.
Oh.
That was live.
Maybe that's part of the issue.
I don't know. Maybe.
The trustworthy people are the ones that are not being trustworthy.
Yeah.
What can that mean?
I don't really want to go down that rabbit hole.
Don't trust your passions and don't trust
people that keep your secrets?
Maybe.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Maybe
we'll come back to that or something.
Yeah, we'll give 50% of our brain to what we have to talk about, and 50% of our brain will go towards contemplating this.
One thing is that the secrets are found out.
Yep, they'll always find you out.
Yeah, and so I think part of what this story is doing is to motivate you to live with integrity. Right? Don't be manipulative. Don't be concocting trickery and secrets and plans to fake your own death because
you might die.
Yeah, and people are going to find out anyway. So
yeah, just leave. They should have just gone through the gate.
Yep. What would have been so bad about just telling everyone that they're married now?
The gang war escalates into a street war.
Does it though?
I mean, I guess
I don't know. It seems like the dads are pretty chill. It'd just be everybody else. But if the dads are in charge...
Are they in charge?
Well, good point. Yeah.
Are they?
They're the heads, but are they actually controlling all of their underlings?
Because they talk about how they're old.
That's true. Times. Yeah, they're like, we're just old, peaceful dudes. You know, we had our quarrels, but we're chill now. It's like, well, it doesn't seem like everybody else is chill.
Yeah, we're just sitting in our big mansion sipping on wine.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Something to contemplate. So one thing that's really popular that especially the modern renditions always take is the idea of the star-crossed lovers kind of motif and trope. But are they star-crossed lovers or impetuous teenagers? That's the idea that I want to think about, because Juliet is only 13, and understanding her as a 13-year-old girl helpfully kind of positions all of the emotions that are running through the story, and understanding Romeo as only like 18 also, I think, helpfully reorients what's going on. Like, I don't know if either of them are making well-informed, mature decisions. I think they're just going with their feelings.
Which goes back to the passions thing.
Yeah.
Right? Are they actually in love?
Yeah.
And what does love mean?
Because the whole story only takes like a week.
Because yeah, or less.
Yeah, it's not like just let that sink in.
I mean, they get married after 24 hours.
Yeah, they go to a party and they're like, "Wow,
meet at a party."
Yeah,
and get
two
married.
teenagers meet at a party. They're like, "Wow, you're pretty cool, but I don't know who you are." They find out who they are. They meet on a balcony.
Oh, and that's shifty.
Yeah, it is shifty.
Because Romeo's like just dropping some eaves.
Yeah, yeah, and then Juliet's like, "Oh man, I really love that Romeo guy." And he's like, "Bam, here I am. I've been here the whole time."
What light doth? Wait, what light through window?
Yeah.
No, what?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. What light through window doth break?
Yep, making the moon jealous.
Yeah.
Because she's like the sun. Yeah.
But I mean, I don't want to superimpose like. I don't think people really change. Technology changes throughout history, but I don't necessarily want to superimpose what we expect of teenagers today on the teenagers then. But I think the rationale stays the same, where they act in passion.
Yeah.
They are not acting wisely.
Yeah.
They could have used their love as a catalyst for peace.
Right.
But instead,
supernaturally or serendipitously, that is what happens, kind of. But it's like you mentioned earlier, it's kind of their death that brings peace.
Yeah, it is the death. It's the blood price.
Yeah, so I think this story.
We all need to recharge once in a while.
All right, Apple has something to say, I guess. Speaking of supernatural forces, here comes Steve Jobs. We're kidding.
Please don't sue us.
We're just bringing it on. So, what do you got? Inclusio?
Inclusio. I'm pretty sure isn't.
We haven't referenced that since episode 2.
Crucio is the torture curse.
Oh, no. Now we're talking about Harry Potter.
Yeah. Okay.
All the mighty have fallen.
Yeah. All right.
This is either gonna be our best episode or
the worst. The worst. Yeah. So I think it's all about the passions in and of themselves are not bad. But the way that Romeo and Juliet are not thinking and just doing everything that comes to mind, it ends poorly.
So we talked about how the friar and the nurse are supposed to be the most trustworthy. I'm almost now taking that as they're supposed to be the most wise.
I think so.
And
the nurse and the nurse even mentions
that line about
the best thing that I would want is to see you get married.
Yeah.
And so she does see her get married. She does see Juliet get married, but like married to Romeo in this way, secret marriage, like
I think it goes back to they choose passion as well.
Yeah.
Maybe even
also,
passion for self.
Do you think this is the inspiration for Anakin and Padme with George Lucas?
It's like poetry.
It's like poetry. Yeah.
I mean, like we just said, every forbidden love is...
That's true, is really built on...
There is, like, stories built on top of stories. Yep. We did some research, and, like, Cinderella's based off an Egyptian myth and blah, blah, blah.
Greek, but yeah.
Which is based off the Egyptian one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, like, stories all, like, what is it? There is no original art. It's all...
Yeah.
Implemented and tinkered with and changed. And...
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, all of that, just keeping that in mind. But we're not the only ones who have struggled with this ethical dilemma. In fact, the early readers and audience members of the 1500s, when this play was originally debuted, have some things that they would like to say as well.
This is a primary source document from 1562.
This is the tragical history of Romeo and Juliet.
So that is before the Reformation.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Here we go. To this end, good reader, is this tragical matter written to describe unto thee a couple of unfortunate lovers, thralling themselves to unhonest desire, neglecting the authority and advice of parents and friends, conferring their principal counsels with drunken gossips and superstitious friars. I think that's the reference to the nurse and the friar. I really think they're painting them in a bad light.
Well, I mean, so we're not far wrong so far.
No, I don't think so.
People back in the day thought it too.
Yeah.
Like way back in the day.
Way back in the day. Good 700 or 500 and, what is that, 62? Okay, anyway. 500 years-ish. 480, but it's fine. attempting all adventures of peril for that attaining of their wished lust, using articular confession, the key of whoredom and treason, for the furtherance of their purpose, abusing the honorable name of lawful marriage, the cloak, the shame of their stolen contracts, finally by all means of unhonest life, hastening to most unhappy death.
To quote Nicolas Cage in National Treasure, people don't talk like that anymore.
That's true. That's true. And that was after I took out all of the Middle English spelling. I had to convert it into modern English.
I mean, you just double up all the E's.
Basically,
A's,
yeah.
some run-on, like, condensed words.
Condensed words, yep. So, I mean, I think the early listeners of Romeo and Juliet are kind of on the same page that we are, right? They describe it as
unhappy
death, unfortunate lovers, giving into unhonest desire, neglecting authority, advice, having bad counsel, right? It's the whole, like, they're unwise and they're full of passion.
Yeah.
And those two things together end in an unhonest life and an unhappy death.
Well, I was afraid I was being unfair, but now I feel like I'm
justified.
Yeah.
Thank you.
People.
The tragical history of Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah.
What about clear conflict resolution?
I think it's average. I mean, They die and peace is made.
Yeah, that's true.
So...
Yeah, at the beginning, there's the threatening of death if peace is not made. And then at the end, there is death, and then peace is made. So that's really interesting. Yeah.
It's like poetry.
It is like poetry. It's almost as if it is poetry, in fact. Yeah. But what about Juliet and her kind of issues with Paris?
So I would argue it's more issues with mommy and daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, anytime you read literature from, this is in no ways ancient, but when you read literature from a bygone time, right, there are going to be some social constructs that just feel weird, right? And so we've mentioned Juliet's not yet 14. Like, that's mentioned a couple times throughout the play. And it's just strange as people living in a digital age to, when the normal age of marrying is closer to 30 now, to assume somebody less than half that age is getting married. Right, so we gotta like set that aside for a moment. You don't have to like take away the weirdness of it, but just know people did that. But it's strange because her parents want her to get married to someone reputable.
Yeah. Paris is the prince's nephew, heir to the city.
Apparently super
handsome, nice, like literally called
loaded.
Literally called the pinnacle of men, like the flower of the flower, like.
Right, and so you would say logically, right, especially in this time period where marriage was more
provision, yeah.
It's securing bloodlines, securing
wealth,
raising your family status, like, that would do it. That would be the logical answer.
Yeah, and he's nice and handsome too. Like, seems like the full package.
Bob, Kit, Kabula.
Yeah.
Kit. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is, I think that goes back to the passion thing where she chooses rebellion and passion for a dude she met at a masquerade ball for all of like 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And then he shows up outside her house with a boombox.
Yeah.
There was no boombox, but it felt like this.
But it felt like it. Yeah,
like go to prom.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think a prom remake of Romeo and Juliet would
make sense.
Well.
Yeah,
that'd be kind of sick.
Yeah,
which would still be like a senior asking an 8th grader out.
Yeah,
so it's just still weird.
It's just weird. Yeah,
but all that to say, I mean, she does avoid marrying Paris.
Yep.
Partially because Romeo kills him.
Yeah, and she marries Romeo, too.
Secretly.
Yeah.
With the wisdom of her counselors.
Yeah, wisdom in quotations. Yeah. So, I mean, there is conflict and there is resolution, and it does a good job. It's not excellent, but it's average. It wraps up the things that it sets up. Yeah. What about engaging, relatable characters?
I think you're going to be more favorable than I am.
Yeah, I think you are...
I am pretty solidly in the camp of they represent something.
Yeah.
which I guess in its own way is engaging if you want to think about it.
Right, so that's my argument is I think they 100% represent different things. Even like what we were talking about before we started recording was that a lot of the characters' names actually correspond to their attributes.
That's just, but like to me, that just shows skilled authorship.
But also part of...
It is part of their character.
It's part of their character.
Right, but those are even the side characters. That's not necessarily Romeo and Juliet. Although
Yeah, that's true, but
we looked up everybody but the...
Yeah, but I think there are many engaging characters in this story.
So you have to remember it's a play.
Yeah.
Right? So are they engaging because they're funny? Because people are supposed to laugh in the pit at the theater? Or are they engaging because they're well fleshed out?
I think that from what we've done, that both of those count.
Fair. It's fair enough. Because I think we're going to flip points score-wise, so it's not really going to impact the score. But all that to say, to me, it's it feels like this would be the equivalent of a Hallmark rom-com type movie today. Just back in the day, a summer blockbuster. Like, oh my gosh, I got tickets. I don't know. Did they have tickets?
Yeah, they had tickets.
I don't know. Paper would be expensive.
How do they make the money?
They just show up
and pay the money.
Yeah, so they
it's
get
it's like a metaphorical ticket.
Yeah, you get a golden Willy Wonka ticket.
An image, if you will.
Oh man, my wife's a theater major, and I can't remember what the theater in London's called, and she's gonna get me
the Globe.
Yeah, there we go. Thank you. Yeah. I got a golden ticket to the Globe.
To the Globe.
We're not necessarily disagreeing, but we can disagree to agree on scores.
Right. Yeah, no, so I think engaging characters, it does do better. I think relatable characters does well too, because you see Romeo as an 18-year-old who is just following after his passions. You see Juliet as a 13-year-old who doesn't really know what real life is happening here. And I think you see that. At least I understand who they are and relate to them as those two characters. I also see Paris as, Paris is the guy that I feel bad for in the story, because it seems like he does everything right.
He's just kind of a bystander.
Yeah. He's
in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, he's literally mourning for Juliet, who wasn't even his wife.
She was engaged to him.
Right, engaged to him. Basically acting like if his wife had died. Then he sees Romeo, who is not convicted, but a
criminal.
A criminal. I mean, he's been exiled, and so he's like, hey, I've got to arrest you. And Romeo's like, no, let me go.
Well, Romeo's like, if you don't get out of my way,
I'm going to kill you.
He's like, I'm going to kill myself, so I have nothing to lose. He literally says, I want to die, get out of my way or I'll kill you.
Yeah. And Paris is like, well, I have to arrest you because you've kind of caused all these problems.
So Romeo's like, you better pull out your saber, dog.
Yep, and they do.
And he
Paris dies.
Him, and he goes, just bury me by Juliet.
Yeah.
And Romeo's like, fine.
I'm doing that anyway.
Whatever, I'll hold your hand too.
Yeah. See, again, Romeo, I don't like Romeo.
But that's the point. I don't think you're supposed to like anyone other than say the...
Benvolio?
Thank you.
Yeah, Benvolio's good.
I'm proud of you for that.
Thank you.
I would say he's actually...
Mercutio is good, too.
They're the more relatable ones to me, if I'm honest. Yeah. Because I think they're supposed to be...
Mercutio is kind of going back and forth. He's not quite a peacemaker. He's more of like...
Benvolio is.
Benvolio is a peacemaker. It's like every fight scene. He's like, hey, could we stop?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't feel like losing a finger to...
Yeah.
Or when he's pining... He being Romeo. He's pining over Rosalina. He's like, brother, there are other fish in the Atlantic Ocean. Stop. You knew her. You knew her for a day.
Yeah. It's never going to happen.
And Romeo's like, I've never beheld anything more lovely.
Until 24 hours later when he goes to a party.
It's like the SpongeBob, 24 hours later.
Juliet, wow!
I feel like we've probably engaged with this point.
Yeah, definitely. I do think, and part of it is, the poetry is just beautiful. I am a huge fan of William Shakespeare. I'm a huge fan. I think, and this is spoiling a little bit from what we have later on. I think this is actually his weakest play, which that might be a hot take to a lot of people. But I think that there are many other instances where William Shakespeare does a lot better. I mean, we've talked about Hamlet and how influential.
3 different episodes.
Yeah, I mean, Hamlet is just literally all over the place. Every story is Hamlet, basically.
I mean, my favorite Julius Caesar. My favorite William Shakespeare play is Julius Caesar.
Excellent.
And I think The Tempest or Midsummer's Night Dream. I don't know why.
Good job. Well done. That was good. That was good.
Tempest and that one,
Yep.
they both have captivating worlds.
Taming of the Shrew.
Yeah, that one's
excellent.
hilarious.
Oh, so good. As a comedy, yeah.
I mean, so I don't know if I would say Romeo and Juliet's the worst, but it's definitely the ones we listed. It would be at the
It would
bottom.
be the weakest of those for sure. Yeah. So I think that you should read it, and the poetry connects you to the characters, but just keep in mind that the story itself, while being prolific and historic and influential and iconic,
Yeah.
not excellent.
But again, I think like I almost wonder if the historic Shakespeare or whoever took his name, whichever one is true, I wonder if he needed to make a buck and he knew this would sell.
That's
I
true.
almost wonder it's like Hollywood pumping out.
Yeah, maybe it was only supposed to be for people's entertainment and a slight ethical lesson, maybe. And everybody was like, wow, this is actually really great.
Yeah.
And it just kind of blew up more than he ever thought.
And here we are.
And here we are, talking about it on a podcast.
Yeah. Witness Shakespeare.
What about Captivating World?
For me, it's totally meh.
Yeah.
Like, I know it's set in, the height of Italian Renaissance.
Yeah.
I don't feel it, though. Like, I mean, I know I'm supposed to be imagining it.
Yeah.
And I can, even if I close my eyes. But it's just the most descriptive the world gets is the Capulet tomb.
Right. Yeah, I think it does. I think it does average. I mean, for me, it brings me into Italy. I feel the tension, I feel the passion. It connects to my life. It's 1500s, but
You're not Italian.
no, not in the slightest. But I feel it when I read this, Josh.
Yeah.
I feel it. I feel like it's ride or die time, and I need to pick a side.
Okay, but you could watch like Sons of Anarchy and feel like it's ride or die time.
Sure,
You can watch a lot of
but I can't feel Italian.
Godfather.
Ooh, which has a lot of stuff in here.
Similarities.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
crap.
yeah. If you want us to do an episode of The Godfather,
I would-
totally down, and we'll probably be re-referencing this episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna do 2 and 3 as well.
Yeah,
Got it.
definitely. Leave the gun, take the cannoli.
Make a deal. Can't refuse it.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways.
Anyway, before we go to the mattresses, let's move on to consistency.
Ah. Yeah, actually, now Godfather does have a lot of similarities.
It does a lot, yeah.
Anyways,
Especially when Mercutio has that horse's head. No, I'm just kidding.
just at the foot of his bed. Is it at the head of his bed?
It's the head of his bed. He wakes up next to it.
Yeah, that's right.
It's quite terrifying, actually.
I mean, that's
Okay.
is that a blooper?
I don't know.
Ah. Anyways, I mean, it's a play. It reads like a play.
Yeah.
It's dramatic like a play. I don't know. It's meh again for me.
If it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's a play.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Do you have anything to add to that?
No. I mean, consistency.
Oh, I thought that we just talked about
Is that what we just did?
I think so.
Okay, that's fine.
So it's so mad.
I didn't even. Yeah, we've talked about the friar, so I'm not really gonna mention. That was one of the things that I was like is inconsistent because the friar is supposed to be, and I think that's intentional, right? He's supposed to be this priest, and instead he is not even like he doesn't even believe in God as a priest. And
that might be historically consistent.
I know.
For the time period.
It very well could be. So that's why I don't want to go too good or too bad on this because I don't think. I don't know. Romeo and Juliet they
act like teenagers.
Oh my goodness! It's just like the whole plan to like fake your death and escape.
So melodramatic.
So melodramatic. And then Juliet takes the drug and she's like pretending to be dead, but everybody throws her a funeral and Romeo just immediately goes to kill himself.
Which causes his true love to die, which is why I'm like, I don't think it's about true love. I think it's about passion.
It's about passion. And then, like, absolutely terrible ending in the sense that, like, Juliet wakes up in a tomb surrounded by
her ancestors.
Yeah, the actual people in the tomb.
Paris.
And Paris and Romeo are both dead next to her, and her actual, like, people that were buried in the tomb with her.
Yeah, and her recently cousin that set it off.
Tybalt. Yeah. So
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's weird. And then she dies, and then everybody else shows up. Yeah.
I mean, the families make peace.
Yeah, the families do make peace.
They make statues of each.
They make statues
of each other.
Golden statues, Capulets of Romeo, Montague of Juliet. So there's kind of this, bringing together. Yeah, there's peace that happens.
That their hatred did this.
Yep.
I don't know. I think we're good.
So
I have nothing else to add.
Okay. Josh, what do you think? Tier chart as you're bringing it all together, as it's rolling around, as you're thinking about it.
So I'm hesitant to say D because it's William Shakespeare.
You can do it,
but
though.
The more we're talking...
You can do it.
I would say C minus.
Okay. I'm at C, so it's average. Yeah, it's average. Going C minus instead of D makes it a little bit easier for us, so I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's we can put it solidly in C.
But hopefully as we close this out, you don't think the podcast is average. And if you don't, and you want to get some more content, feel free to like and sub on YouTube. It still looks like about half our viewers aren't subbed, and we're really small. We're a small baby podcast, and so any sub is actually really big. It might just look like one to you, but it feels like more than one to us.
Yep.
Instagram, we're posting stuff every Monday and Thursday, and sometimes some bonus posts.
Yep.
And as we get ready for our last episode, remember, if you want more content throughout the summer, you can join paid Patreon. We'll start a newsletter. We also have our Discord that you can join for a free member. But those are some ways where you can keep getting some interactive content. But
yeah, definitely.
So, what are we talking about next time, Zach?
Do you know why a ship floats and a stone cannot? Because the stone sees only downward. The darkness of the water is vast and irresistible. The ship feels the darkness as well, striving moment by moment to master her and pull her under. But her eyes are focused upward. Pretty sure that's how it goes.
I'm pretty sure this is where it ends.
Yep.
My dream is if we get big enough one day that this pays for us to go to Disney World and like review Batu and stuff.
Okay, you know what'd be epic is if we did the story of rides. Because there's imagery and especially something the Star Wars interaction thing that they have at Disney. Yeah.
Every roller coaster is a story.
It is. I know. So you could do like a whole... I'm assuming most roller coasters would be like DF. But there's probably some. There's some that are...
Everest. I love the Everest roller coaster.
Yeah. Is that the one with the Yeti?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Because the line
builds it. Yeah, that's true.
Like, that's like the same thing at Harry Potter.
Yeah.
And Universal.
I haven't been there yet, but I've heard that Universal theming is really, really good.
We only went for Harry Potter. Like, we literally did nothing else.
Did all the Harry Potter
because
stuff.
Of all my concussions, I can only do about 3 roller coasters before I start throwing up everywhere.
Right.
I hope we're recording. This would be a great blooper. Anyways.
Cool. All right. Well, that's the goal, is that eventually we can do the story of rides.
Yeah.
All right.
If you listen all the way through the blooper, you can make our dreams come true.
You can make our dreams come true.
I heard a wish is a dream your heart makes.
Yep. And when you wish upon a star, it makes no difference who you are. Anything can happen.
Anyways,
here we go.
We should make this
dreams come true.